Well, welcome to the annual Women in Entrepreneurship event. Tonight's event is sponsored by Innovate Marquette SmartZone. My name is David Kronberg, and I am the Director of Entrepreneurial Outreach and Services for Innovate Marquette SmartZone. I started in this role 6 months ago, moved up to Marquette. Mary and I were so happy to be back in the Upper Peninsula, where we moved from originally. What a great place we got to live in up here. We're so excited to have a full house tonight. This event sold out 3 nights after the event was announced, before we even started promoting it. So that's an indicator of how important it is that we have a gathering like this in Marquette. I'd like to thank our vendors. Northern Michigan University is catering our treats in the way back there. Ludi's Flowers has donated bouquets and flowers for the tables, and Ludi's Flowers is a woman-owned business. Yeah. Thanks also for Bordock for drinks and in this beautiful space for us all to get together. Bordock is also a woman-owned business. Thanks also for Innovate Marquette's sponsors, which is the Michigan Economic Development Corporation and the City of Marquette. Also one of our partners, Siren Communications. So thank you very much. So tonight, we hope that through our panel discussions, you find new knowledge. We hope you find inspiration. We hope that you make new friends. We're all in this together. Tonight's a great night. Please mingle, introduce yourself around. At this point, I'd like to introduce Elizabeth, and she'll be the MC for the first 2 panel discussions that we've got.
Hello everyone, I'm super excited to be here with you tonight. I'm really lucky and I get to wake up every morning with an all-female news team, so super inspiring, and it's a great place to go every morning, and I'm excited to hear what you all have to say here tonight. As Dave mentioned, we're going to have a live Q&A right after each of these segments, so note your questions, write them down, let me know what they are, get ready to ask those for our panelists. So without further ado, I want to introduce our first 2 panelists for tonight's segment, Marketing 101. Allison Harlow Clark is from the is an interior designer and owner of Curio Design Studio, and Nicole Johnson is the director of marketing and communications for Innovate Marquette. And Nicole, I'm turning it over to you.
So marketing is really an art and a science combined. We've all heard about the 4 Ps: product, price, promotion, place. But marketing really isn't one of those things that's a one-size-fits-all. It needs to be catered to each individual brand, to each individual target audience, and then even further down into each individual channel that you're using to speak to those audiences. All of that changes depending on your business segment. These are just a few types of marketing from one source that you can find on the internet. It becomes a little nerve-wracking as an entrepreneur trying to research all of the different ways to market your business. What one's right, what one's wrong. You don't need to do all of these things, but what you do need to do is build a network of people that can guide you and consult you into the right direction for your business. So today what we're going to talk about is marketing on a budget, and entrepreneurship marketing, your brand and why it matters, specifically to digital marketing, things that you can budget for, free tools, and then local resources. So, marketing and entrepreneurship. All entrepreneurs should approach their business with a marketing first mindset. But what does that mean? So that means that you're not just thinking of marketing as an afterthought of your product, your widget, or your service. You're developing your business with marketing first. And that way you can have marketplace relevance, audience positioning, and goal alignment. What does that mean? So marketplace relevance is making sure that the product or the service or the widget that you're creating actually fits the people you think that you're trying to serve. Because you don't want to get all the way along in this process of entrepreneurship only to find out that you're speaking to a different audience. If you have that marketing first mindset, you're discovering who your audience is early on and then catering the way you build your brand to that audience. It's just going to come easy because the fit is already there. Your brand. So there are many elements of a brand. You have your target audience. I don't know if I'm kind of in the way of some of this for a few of you, but this will be available afterwards. You have your target audience. You have reputation management. You have logos. You have color palettes. You have design elements. You have ads. You have your social presence. There are all these things that are elements of your brand, but why do they matter? Well, they matter because having a cohesive brand that is easy to understand, that tells what the message is, the purpose, the goals, having that all very apparent to your target audience builds trust. And it's important to build trust because people aren't going to buy your product or pay money for your service if they don't trust you to begin with. So today, the digital marketing world is more competitive than ever. There's a lot of noise and there's a lot of social media platforms. You don't need to be pleasing everyone, but if you're true to your brand, that audience will automatically come to you. Also, creating proud employees is a really important aspect of a brand. I think it's something that's incredibly underlooked by a lot of people. You want employees that are proud to say that they work for you, that want to wear your swag, that are as loyal to your business as you are. Also driving sales. So also, types of digital marketing. There are a lot of them. But as I said, it's not a one size fits all. That's why it's incredibly important to surround yourself with people who understand different aspects of marketing and can guide you in the direction you need to go to for your brand. Not everybody needs to be on TikTok. Not everybody needs to be on Instagram. Not everybody needs to be on LinkedIn. But having people who understand how to speak to audiences on the platforms that you're choosing to be on is going to give you a lot more for the money that you spend. What to budget for? So this is probably one of the questions that our clients at Innovate Marquette ask me the most. Because as you're going through and you get to mid-year and you finally have a product that you want to put out into the into the world, and then you don't have a budget to create the promotional video to put the product out into the world. If you budget from the beginning, you're not going to run into that issue. So this is a very loose list of things to actually invest in your brand, because there are a lot of things that we can do ourselves. Social media is a free tool that all of us can use. We're more than capable of using. But it's up to you to understand if your time is worth more than the money that it takes to have someone else manage your social media, for example. Same with photography. We all have smartphones and they take really amazing video and photos, especially today. But is your time and your talent worth more or less than hiring somebody else to do that work for you? So I would say taking this slide out of everything that I just talked about and really understanding what is worth it and then what you can do yourself for your own business. And in that, like I keep saying, find yourself a consultant. It doesn't mean that you have to pay for all of these things month to month, but understanding when in your marketing cycle throughout the year you need them will really help you to budget. Now, local resources and free tools. So, like I said, lots of stuff you can do on your own. There are really, really amazing branding and content creation tools that I've used in my past life to create brands. Coolers is a really amazing online platform that allows you to put in a color and it will give you loads and loads of complementary colors that you can add to a color palette and use cohesively throughout your brand. Canva. Love Canva. It is quick, it is simple, it is easy. They have really beautifully designed templates that you can carry throughout your brand, and you can insert that color palette from coolers that you design into any of the templates that you choose. Going even further, we have MailChimp, which is an online email platform that can actually now do way more than just email. You can build full-on campaigns for social media, you can build pop-ups for your website. The sky is the limit. And then furthermore, something that I don't think enough people talk about is Envato Market. So Envato Market is a marketplace for graphic design elements where you can purchase full folders of different design elements to use across your branding, be that your website, your social media, flyers, posters. It has everything. Check it out. Also for learning, one thing I steer our students towards most is HubSpot. HubSpot has so many tutorials, whether it's social media, web design, strategy, and I'm not saying that you're gonna watch HubSpot and become an expert, but maybe you can have the knowledge to make educated decisions about hiring a consultant or hiring a social media intern or hiring a photographer and a videographer. Make sure that you're educating yourself so that you can make those decisions.
So I'm going to kind of piggyback off of some of the things that you said, and I was happy to hear you say them because it makes me feel like validated, like what we're doing is actually kind of down the right path. But I'm going to hone in a little bit more on kind of talking about marketing from a small business perspective and actually content creation and just really getting the most traction from your content without burning out, because it is a lot to manage. So just to tell you a little bit about myself, I'm Allison. I'm an interior designer here in Marquette with Curio Design Studio. I started my business in 2012, and I work locally with clients here in Marquette, but we also work virtually with clients around the nation and actually all over the world. And my particular journey kind of went from side hustle to full-time. And I say that really just to kind of emphasize that, like, I didn't come into a small business like my goal is to start this business and here's my business plan and my marketing budget. Really, I kind of had a passion project that I started on the side of working for a larger design firm. And really decided that I wanted to give it a go and try to go full time, but kind of going. Thank you. So you know, a lot of my business year to year was I wasn't like taking money from my business and like reinvesting in my business. I was like using that money to live and buy a house and have kids and do all of that stuff. So it made me be super, super efficient in how I marketed my business and the systems that I kind of developed to create that content so that I didn't have to pull a lot of money out of my business to invest back into marketing. So with that, it really kind of emphasized our focus on social media. And the reason is kind of things that you touched on. First and foremost, it's like free and or inexpensive to post on there, to boost ads and to do all of that. It's also where my client base is. So what you were saying, like it makes sense for me to be on Instagram and to be on Facebook. It's where my potential clients are using and they're active, and it's where I can easily connect with them. So it's just a really simple no-brainer, like that's where I should be showing up. It also gives me access to clients like geographically, which I think is really important for us up here. Like we don't live in a huge urban area. We don't have tons and tons of endless potential clients to work with. So me offering virtual services, I'm able to connect with people all over the country and kind of generate a revenue stream that is outside of this geographical area and allows me to kind of live here and not have to have all my client base be right here. And I think that's something that can speak to a ton of different businesses, and especially up here where we're slightly isolated from, bigger markets. And obviously it also works really well for the visual nature of my work. So I don't do a lot of stuff on LinkedIn. It's not the best place for me to connect with potential clients, but being on markets that just really prioritize like visual content makes a lot of sense for us. And also just relatively easy to manage. Like we all use social media like personally, so it's pretty easy to kind of switch your hat and go into your business profile and kind of be active and engage with potential customers because we're used to doing it as like the potential client as well. So my goal has really been for the last couple of years just being really consistent with content creation. So a snapshot of my content calendar looks something like this. We do a blog 2 times a month, a newsletter that goes out 2 times a month on the alternating week of the blog, a Facebook page post 1 time per week, a Facebook group post 1 time per week. And that's something that we kind of let be more organic. It's a group that people can interact with us and ask questions about design. So we, some weeks there's more posts in there than others, and we kind of use that as a way to engage with our clients and kind of cement ourselves as experts in that field. And then also Instagram Grid and Instagram Stories 2 to 3 times a week. And that, again, I prefer to be more organic content. It's stories that, like, when we're at a site visit, I make sure and snap a picture and share it with followers on social media. But just making sure that it feels really organic and kind of what we are working on at the current time. So you're probably like, how do you do all of that? That's a lot of content creation and posting on top of like what your actual business is, which is design and construction and overseeing all of that. So I have a few kind of tangible takeaways for that. And my first kind of tip is really to integrate content creation into what you're actually working on. So there's 2 kind of examples of how we do this. First and foremost, when we sign a new client and we onboard that client, automatically we're inputting some tasks in our social media, or not our social media, in our internal kind of, we use Basecamp. It's similar to Trello or Airtable. It's a task management app. And we're preloading those tasks in, like, hey, we're going to be sure to share about the design plan for this in Instagram. We're going to schedule project photography out for about the estimated time we think this project is going to be done. We're going to send out a testimonial request for about when we think this is going to be done. All that gets preloaded on the front end right when a client signs a new project with us. So really that just holds me accountable to myself. Like, I remember because the task emails me like around that time and is like, hey, share your design plan for this project. And I can put that in there and just kind of pull content out from things that I'm actually already having to do for my business. And then also really trying to focus on content that kind of serves a need and knowing what my clients need and then creating content for that. So not just like thinking of my business here and like my content creation over here, but really like how can I make these 2 things serve each other? So a really good example of that is taking frequently asked questions from your potential client base and turning it into social media posts. So people are always emailing about, hey, we're looking for a bathroom renovation. Like, how much should we budget for that? We turn it into a blog post. Here's a pretty graphic. Here's like an overlay on tile and labor and mirrors and vanity. And that goes out as a blog post. So not only am I serving like what my clients are asking me, it's also saving me time and like in those frequently asked questions, when I get that email, I'm like, oh, hey, Stacy, here's this blog, check it out. And it looks super professional. And it's like, I don't have to type it out every time. So there's 5 more minutes in my day that I can save by kind of using the content and having the content serve the need.
Okay. All right, so this next segment is about financing your business. There are a variety of funding sources for entrepreneurs and small business owners. And tonight we're focusing on loans and where to begin to get your finances in order. From government funding programs to working with your local bank, our panelists in this segment are going to help you navigate the process of financing your business. We have Roxanne Daust, the Range Bank Chairman, President, and CEO, and Brooke Quinn, Business Development Representative for the Lake Superior Community Partnership. Take it away.
Good afternoon, everyone. Is everyone having a good time? Yeah? So my name is Brooke Quinn. I'm a business development representative here at the Lake Superior Community Partnership. And for those of you who don't know, we are a local economic development organization here in Marquette County. So pretty much what we primarily do is we work with businesses of all stages of life, from startup all the way to succession planning, and everything in between, from attraction to expanding and helping you find funding for your business. But before I dive into the different funding aspects, because numbers are fun, I want a little interaction with the audience a little bit. So just for a quick question, who here went to the UP 200 event last weekend? Yeah? All right, got another question. Who planned for parking when they went to that event? Some of those hands went down. All right, and who also prepared for the cold that was going to be happening, because that was another fun aspect of it. But much like planning for the UP 200 event and attending for it, that's how many aspects of planning or funding your business is. And with those three aspects, I'm just going to talk about three topics: what resources that are available, as well as what the LSCP offers, what to have when starting your business or thinking about when funding it, as well as what to expect and prepare when you also meet with us to talk about for funding your business. Now, there are multiple different options for funding. One of the favorites that are out there are grants. Free money, everyone loves free money, right? But when it comes to starting a business, there's not as applicable of an option, is not as widely used because there's not that much funding when it comes to great options with starting a business. However, when you have an existing business, there are plenty of options through the MEDC, through MDAR, depending on the type of business you have, as well as what the LSCP offers. There's also loan programs, which I'm going to be talking about, that we have, which are paid back over time, and you can also go through Range Bank. They offer great loans at a great interest rate. As well as personal and private lenders. You have angel investors, you have friends and family who you can bribe money from or commandeer money from, so to help fund your business as well. So just a couple of the options that the LSCP offers personally is our COVID relief funding, as well as our GAP financing. So when it comes to GAP financing, that is a revolving loan fund. And this helps stimulate growth in the economy, as well as such as jobs or growing your business. But there are a couple guidelines when it comes to it. We can only provide a third of the funding. So to make numbers simple, because numbers are great, right? Let's say you need $90,000 for funding your business. Let's say you want to open a brewery. You need $90,000, and you go to Range Bank and they're like, okay, we can offer you $30,000 for your business, and you're able to put in that collateral of $30,000. So you have a gap of $30,000, and that's where you can come to the LSCP, since you're working with a financial lender such as Range Bank, and you can come to us and we can help provide that funding for you. Now, you must have, when you do apply for these loans, is you must have your financial plan, which I'll get into in a little bit. But you need those financial plans when you do apply for these grants or loans, as well as grants, especially through the state. And our other one is our COVID lending program, which is, they're more flexible, I would say, when it comes to the loans. It's more flexible. You don't need a traditional lender to go ahead and get this program with. There is a lower interest rate, and there's no required additional leverage when it comes to applying for this loan. And this is for any business that has been affected by COVID-19, and who hasn't been affected by COVID-19. So if you need any funding whatsoever, contact us. Don't be afraid to ask. I think this one might be a better option, but both options are amazing for when it comes to funding. And both are application processes, which you can totally talk to our business development director, Mary Myers, in our office as well. She's a super nice lady. But those are just two of the funding options that the LSCP offers and partners with financial lenders such as Range Bank. And when it comes to starting a business, marketing, as so well addressed in our previous presentations, is super important, as well as financing your business. I think that's this other leg of the stool other than operations when it comes to it, which is extremely important. And when it comes to financing, one thing to kind of look at is your startup costs, especially with those startup businesses. How much does it take to start your business? Everyone likes to think that it's not going to cost that much, but when you start adding in all the equipment, the marketing aspect of it, the just resources that are available, those numbers can be either higher than what you anticipate or lower than what you anticipate. But it's always good to have those financial plans and those startup costs on handy, as well as your cash flow statements. How is it going to look in the first year, in the first couple months, or the first 3 years? I know when working with financial lenders, they're going to want to see, is your business viable? Is it actually going to make it past the first year, or are these numbers inflated? And a lot of funding numbers, because numbers are fun, right? And everyone wants to talk about money, everybody wants money, but no one knows how to get money. So when it comes to any hidden costs or anything to kind of look out for, especially I talk to my startups about this, look at business insurance. Not many businesses try to think of that or want to think of that at the top of their head. Or that marketing cost, like who's going to do that if you're not 100% confident in it? Go to Invent NMU or one of your local resources to kind of help with that, and they can guide you. We can guide you as well, but there's also opportunities as well out there. And when it comes to working with us, and that last topic comes to working with the LSCP, I'm going to ask you a ton of questions, but one of them being is how far in the process have you gotten? Do you have the idea? If you have the idea, great, I can go off of that. Have you even looked at financial plans? If not, great, I like numbers, come work with me, I can take that burden off of you. As well as how much funding do you need? And this is for not only startup businesses, but also existing businesses that are looking to expand. What do you need that funding for? Is it for equipment? Is it for wage? Is it for like expanding into a different state? These are questions that I'm gonna ask you, and if you don't know the answers, that's okay. We'll definitely work with you on that as well and try to figure that out. But these are the fun topics that I'm just gonna try to not talk too much about, but the one advice that I would definitely give any business owner, any startup, anyone going into owning a business is it's okay that your financial plans are not gonna stay consistent. It's because quotes are gonna change, especially for prices. When it comes to metal and construction, those numbers change almost on a daily basis. So it's okay if your numbers aren't 100% because your financial plan is what's going to go, including your business plan, but your financial plan is what's going to grow with you as your business grows. So it's okay if that changes. And if you're not understanding something or you're not 100% on what a cost might be, feel free to ask Roxanne or I to kind of guide you through that, because banks aren't evil. They actually want to give you money. So Roxanne,
and we have a lot of money to give
yes,
right
they have
now.
a lot of money to give. So yeah, definitely hit up your banks, hit up your financial lenders, because they want to see you succeed. They want to see your business be supportive. It may not seem like it because money is scary, and asking people for lots of money is not something priority on the to-do list, or even remotely. I should say, with a lack of a better word. It's not as easy as most would like to think it is, but we make it easy. We make it super comfortable. But I'm going to have Roxanne over here talk more about Range Bank and well as what they offer and what you guys can help them out with.
Sure, marketing is super fun and super sexy, and banking and numbers really not so much.
Yeah.
It can be really intimidating.
Money is sexy though.
Yes,
Money is
very.
that's true. You know, you have the image of going into a bank and you go into this stuffy room and there's this guy with this suit and tie on and he's kind of looking down at you and, you know, asking you questions, and it can be really intimidating, but it doesn't have to be. I mean, banks are here to help, and we really have business bankers that are there to try to help you and answer questions for you. So don't be afraid. I think that some of the points that I'm going to give you today will really help you feel more comfortable when you walk into the bank, that you're prepared, you know what questions that they're going to be asking you. So every business really at some point is going to need to have capital to help them continue to grow. So it is an important topic because of that. The first thing I wanted to talk about is really a plan. either your financial statements or a business plan. That's the thing that you really need to look at first before you come into a bank. The business plan, if you're new into the business, it's really things like, do you have a marketing plan? Do you have a strategic plan? Do you have a financial plan? What is the thing that you want to do? Is it a business that's really viable? Is it something that's really needed in the community? And if we feel like that's the case, you don't necessarily have to have run a business or be into the business for years and years. But if you have that trade that you feel like is something that is needed, that's the thing that we're really looking for. Do you have a passion for your business? Where is it going? Where do you see it going? Because we really look at that owner of that business and we think about them and, are they in it for the real reasons? Are they going to stick by it? Are they dedicated to that business? Now, if you've been in business for a little while and you have financial statements, you need to look at the financial statements to say, hey, how am I doing? If you had kind of some bumpy roads along the way, it's okay. I know a lot of small business, they really struggle at first. The first couple of years are super hard. So if you struggle, just think about, okay, how am I going to reset? How am I going to go forward? What is the plan to go forward? Because that's what the banker's going to ask you. What's your plan? Where do you want to go with your business? The other thing that really is super important, because running a business isn't easy. It is really hard. You need to wear so many hats when you're a business owner. And you can't do it all. You don't have the expertise to do everything it takes on a day-to-day basis. So if you don't know marketing, hire somebody to help you market. Learn to market. I mean, we have some great advisors in this room that can really help you from a CPA standpoint, from an attorney standpoint. We have the LSCP that is willing to sit down with you and answer any questions that you have. So my advice is really to surround yourself with people that can help you and that can mentor you through the process, because it's not easy. The other thing that I think is a key is just understanding how to read a financial statement, understanding kind of some basic accounting, because you need to be the one that understands your business. Is the product or service that you're offering profitable? Are there certain services that you maybe think, oh, this one isn't profitable, but this one is really profitable. I'm going to focus more attention on that. Or am I going to just, kind of do things a little bit different? I have to decrease my expenses to go forward. Also, I mean, if you have a bookkeeper, you need to know your financials, because if you rely on somebody else, I mean, they could be embezzling from you, let's face it. So you really need to pay attention to that. Credit score. Credit score is really important on a personal level, and to a certain extent, we also do look at the personal credit score when you are opening up a business and you come in for a small business loan. The biggest thing, I know Brooke talked about this a little bit already, but I feel like that the biggest takeaway here is that cash flow is king. I mean, you may know as much as you know about your trade. You may be super busy. You may even be really profitable. But if you don't have collections of your cash on a quick basis so that you can pay your employees, because those employees aren't going to wait until that vendor or that customer pays you back. So really, that is one of the biggest issues and one of the key reasons why some businesses are not successful, is because they're not paying attention to their cash flow. So really a key point with cash flow is pay attention to your invoices. Make sure that you charge your customers correctly. Make sure that you send out those invoices quickly, and make sure that you collect on those invoices, because you need that cash to pay your vendors. You need that cash to pay your employees. Sorry, I have my notes here. So another thing that I wanted to talk about is collateral. Usually when you walk into a bank, the banker does ask you, hey, what is your collateral? What do you have that has value? And there's many sorts of collateral that you can use. And basically it can be your inventory, it can be your house, it can be investments, it can even be cash in the bank. So collateral is really important, and most loans require some sort of collateral in order for you to get the loan. Also, if you have gaps in that financing, like Brooke mentioned, there are opportunities to obtain gap financing through the LSCP, Northern Initiatives. We do work with a lot of different companies to provide gap financing for you. The other thing I wanted to talk about is a banking partner, obviously close to my heart because I'm a banker and that's what we do. So not all banks not all lenders are created equal. You really need to, this is an important decision for you. So you really need to find a banker that will support you along the way. Community banks, I feel are extremely important to the market. We know the local market. We know what is needed in the community. We make decisions locally, so we really know what's going on in the community. If you run into issues, and a lot of businesses run into issues, look at what COVID has done for a lot of businesses in the last couple of years. A community bank will actually work with you and try to help you through this process. So a key point to me is just make sure that you find a banker that will provide consulting services to you, because we are a consultant. We want to help you. We want to really personalize the experience. We want to structure the loan to meet your needs, because it is really important to structure it the way that makes sense for your business. And sometimes just because a bank says that they will give you money, it may not be in your best interest. You don't want to finance equipment that has a useful life of 5 years for 20 years. You don't want to lump it into your real estate loan. So separating that and making sure that you do it that way is important. One of the last things I did want to talk about is the typical types of loans that there are out there. And one that a lot of businesses utilize is a line of credit. Basically, a line of credit, it's very flexible. You can use it for your cash flow. If you have a gap in collecting invoices, you can use a line of credit for a short period of time. You can actually buy inventory. When the inventory sells, or whatever you're making with it, you can pay off that loan. And so a line of credit is great for small businesses because of the flexibility. You pay interest only on it. You only pay for what you use. And you can kind of, borrow it and give it back whenever you want to. So it's kind of a nice product. There's also the term loans and the equipment loans. That's basically the useful life of an equipment that purchase. If you need a car for your business, if you need office equipment, that sort of thing, it's kind of a shorter term, maybe up to 5 years that you would borrow for that, and you pay it over a fixed term. Typically, it can be a fixed rate or a variable rate. Also, real estate loans. A lot of businesses, you want to own your own real estate. So we do real estate loans for businesses, and usually there's a balloon. So a balloon is either a 3 or 5 year, it could be a little bit longer, but it's also amortized over a 20 to a 25 year period of time. So the payments are lower over a longer period of time. So there's a lot of different options there. There's also SBA lending, and the Small Business Administration has some great loan products. They're a little bit harder to get, and it takes a little bit more time, but it does mitigate the risk of banks. If you may be newer in your business or there's some risks involved, banks like to use them sometimes because they mitigate the risk. So they can be used for multiple purposes, such as working capital, furniture, and fixtures. Although these are good options, they still require you to have a great business plan. They still require you to have some equity, and they still require you to have an ability to repay. So the SBA also has some great options to help women business owners. So kind come and talk to any of our lenders, and they can give you some advice on some great products that the SBA has that can help small businesses. So running a business is really exciting, and it can be just a really rewarding opportunity, but it's also a lot of hard work, and there are resources to help you with that. And please don't hesitate to contact the LSCP or a business banker. They can really help you out along the way, and they're happy to help you. I mean, you think of a banker as, oh, I better have all my ducks in a row, because if I go in there, I don't want them to say no. Well, you don't necessarily need to be to the point where you're asking for money. You can ask for advice. We want to be a consultant to the businesses. So that's all I had, but we're happy to answer any questions.
Yeah.